Chicago Fire's latest episode was missing a shocking number of characters. Here's why. Chicago Fire is prone to benching a character for an episode at a time. It's become a tradition over the past few seasons, with some vague lip service paid to why and when the character in question will be back. Cut Me Open was a different beast entirely though. Instead of one character, the Chicago Fire episode was missing 4. We're as surprised as you are. Christopher Herman, David Eigenberg, was asked to man the store, so to speak, because Chief Dom Pascal, Dermot Mulroney, had decided to take a personal day. It's a bit odd to see an episode without Pascal, given his elevated position, but given how much he's been through in recent weeks, we get it. Then we learn Sam Carver, Jake Lockett, who has decided to transition to part-time shifts at 51, was also missing for the day. Missing 2 vital characters is more than enough reason to raise an eyebrow, but before we could do so, Chicago Fire confirmed that our favorite medics, Lizzie Novak, Jocelyn Houdin, and Violet McCalmy, Hanako Greensmith, were also missing in action. There are a couple reasons why such a staggering number of 51 employees were missing. One of them is in-world, and the other has to do with recent behind-the-scenes developments. The narrative reason for being down Pascal, Carver, Novak, and Violet is so 51 could look extra thin when the performance proficiency expert came by to survey it. The expert had been sent to make cuts on behalf of the Chicago Fire Department, and the lack of employees made a situation that would have been just stressful, both stressful and comedic. Herman had to call upon the few firefighters who actually were on shift to help deal with the expert breathing down his neck. And they even managed to have some fun with the expert by forcing him to engage in physically taxing drills. It was a case of writers using a perceived weakness, lack of people, as a storytelling strength. It was also a case of fiction mirroring reality. The behind-the-scenes reason for 4 characters being absent also had to do with budget cuts. NBC has renewed Chicago Fire another season, but the network has decided to whittle down the costs of episodes by benching main cast members 2 to 4 times a year. Or in the cast of people like Jake Lockett and Daniel Curie, writing them out of the show's future entirely. Chicago Fire is feeling the squeeze of cutting costs both on screen and off, and this came to a head during the end of Cut Me Open. The expert confirmed that he will be making cuts to Firehouse 51, and even earmarked Herman and Mouch, Christian Stolt, as the most likely candidates based on their ages. This disconcerting revelation is either a warning of what's to come, or a bait-and-switch for the 2 exits we already know are around the corner, the aforementioned Lockett and Curie. Either way, we're going to be lamenting a permanently thinner 51 roster. The bells had stopped ringing for the night, but Firehouse 51 still smoldered with unspoken words. The latest call, a massive apartment blaze on the south side, had left soot on more than just their gear. But the episode had barely scratched the surface. What viewers didn't see was the moment Joe Cruz stepped into the locker room, sat on the bench, and quietly pulled a folded photo from his jacket pocket. It was Otis, smiling in a Halloween costume, paper crown slightly crooked, from a party 5 years ago. Cruz hadn't looked at it in months, maybe longer. The photo had been tucked away in his locker, behind a spare mask, until the night's fire brought it back to the surface. "Miss him every damn day," Cruz whispered. Gallo passed by, pausing briefly to glance at the photo. "He'd be proud," he offered gently before moving on. But Cruz wasn't looking for comfort, he was looking for connection. Otis would have known what to say. Meanwhile, Violet sat in the ambulance, doors still open, the soft glow of the streetlight catching in her hair. She'd just lost a patient, an elderly woman who'd gone back into the fire to rescue her cat. They saved the cat. The woman died en route. Violet stared blankly at the animal, now curled up in a blanket on her lap. She wasn't crying. Not yet. But Hawkins' voice echoed in her head, words of encouragement he used to say after hard calls. "You did all you could, Vi. That's enough." She didn't respond to Brett's gentle nudges to go inside. Instead, she reached into her pocket and dialed a number she hadn't called in months. Hawkins' voicemail. "Hey," she whispered. "Tough call tonight. Just wanted to hear your voice. I guess I still need you." Inside, Severad's return from OFI was supposed to be triumphant. Instead, it was quiet. His shoulders were heavier, his eyes shadowed. Stella saw it first. The way he lingered in the garage, staring at Truck 81 as if it had betrayed him. But he hadn't said a word about what happened during his undercover assignment. The episode didn't show how he woke up 3 nights in a row from nightmares, drenched in sweat, seeing the fire that wasn't there. He tried to push it down. Severide was good at that, but Stella wasn't having it. In the unseen scene, she followed him to the roof. "You know you don't have to carry all that alone, right?" He didn't answer right away. "Some of them didn't make it out," he finally said, voice tight. "I keep seeing their faces." Stella reached for his hand. "Then let's remember them. Together." Downstairs, Bowden was dealing with his own fire. The political kind. A city council member had threatened budget cuts unless 51 endorsed a real estate project that would push out dozens of low-income families. Bowden's refusal didn't make it into the episode, but it made waves. He met with the families after shift, out of uniform, shaking hands and listening to their stories. He didn't tell them he'd already filed a formal complaint. He let his actions speak. Back in the bunk room, Ritter was quietly packing a box. Not to leave, just to clean up some clutter. Inside were old notes from Mouch, bits of advice scribbled during their first few shifts together. Mouch hadn't been in this episode, but his presence lingered. The station missed him, his sarcasm, his warmth, his absolute refusal to retire. Ritter found a note dated 2 years back. "There's no shame in caring too much. That's how we save lives." He stuck it to his locker. Then he opened his notebook and started writing his own advice, thinking maybe one day he'd pass it on. Emma Jacobs was nowhere to be found this episode, but a brief, unseen moment at the end hinted at her return. A dark SUV parked across from the firehouse. Inside, Emma watched through tinted windows as Brett and Violet cleaned the rig. She wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Meanwhile, Brett had more going on than she let on. In a scene cut for time, she got a letter from her birth mother. No return address. Just 3 lines. "I saw the news clip. You're amazing. I'm sorry I missed it all." Brett folded the letter up neatly and tucked it in her uniform pocket. She didn't tell Casey. Not yet. She wanted to understand what she was feeling before she opened that door. Later that night, Herman and Cindy were at Molly's, cleaning up after a quiet Thursday crowd. In a moment never aired, Cindy lit a candle near the bar. "For those who didn't make it," she said. Herman poured 2 shots, sliding one to her, "To the ones we carry with us." They clinked glasses. There was love there, decades deep and battle-tested. No drama, just presence. As the firehouse lights dimmed and shift changed, the camera could have lingered on the little things. Violet finally curling up in her bunk, the cat still beside her. Cruz taping the Otis photo up again, Severide sleeping soundly for once, because Stella was next to him. Brett rereading the letter, this time letting herself cry. Bowden poring over city budget sheets, red pen in hand, not giving up. So much at Chicago Fire happens in the silence, in the aftermath, in the looks not exchanged, the hugs never quite given, the emotions tucked away in the corners of firehouse walls. The latest episode hit hard with action, but missed the ache that gives the show its heart.